Hey guys, today I want to talk about mixing in the box with an analog feel, trying to get that record sound from the 70s, which we all love. There are some fantastic multi-tracks provided by Marc Daniel Nelson on the Produce Like a Pro YouTube channel, so you can download these multi-tracks, and this is a fantastic song because it's soulful and great recordings and very melodic, and a fantastic singer too. So I wanted to share with you some ideas. If you mix in Studio One, how could you get that kind of analog tape vibe? And first of all, normally these songs are mixed on the console, so there's some analog summing going on. The first thing you can do is to use the console shaper here. If you activate the console shaper, you can activate some crosstalk. So one channel talks a little bit to the other channel, and you can dial in some noise. I didn't do this, but you can drive those emulated preamps of every channel. So if I take this off, this is the sound. And if I put this on, there's a certain effect I really like. Also important for me is I use a tape machine just on the 2-bus. I use the IK Multimedia Tape Machine 24 because I love the depth of this VST and what it does. Listen without it. And now with it. You can dial in some brightness here, which I did, and some little bit of a low bump, because that's what tape machines usually do, apart from enhancing the music with pretty harmonic distortion. So this is on my 2-bus, and then I figured out that the recordings I know from SSL consoles have a little bit different sound than what I mix in the box, and that's because they enhance, from my understanding, apart from a lot of other things, but they enhance the area around 5K a little bit, so you've got a little bit of pleasant screaming in your sound. And I wanted to emulate that, so I used Pultec EQ. This Realtek one has also a section for the mids or the high mids. So in this 5K area here, I boost it. Let me overdo it. With a wondering smile saying, baby, it's about damn time. And the funny thing with the Pultec EQ is always you can add it at the same time. It's what I did in the other section here with a dip. So I went to 5K, and if I dip it, it's not exactly taking back what I did here. It's doing some other stuff which I like. Listen to this. So boosting and dipping at the same time, typically Pultec style. Let me turn it off. Without it. With it. I think it's a little bit more in your face with that 5K boost. A little bit more presence, for sure. I used another Pultec style EQ from Acoustica Audio with Titanium, and I boosted around 30 Hertz and also attenuated, and then I boosted at 12K and also attenuated a little bit, because this is a kind of the thing which a tape machine does. There's some roll-off going on, and there's a little bit of a bump in the low bass going on. So this is the bump. And the attenuation works underneath, from my understanding, works underneath 30 hertz. Without it, without it, with it. Yeah, really like that sound. Computer is beginning to struggling a little bit. Then I use the BX Townhouse and the Precision Comp, which is not so important here. Another good VST for having that little bit of vintage sound is the Neold by Brainworks. I use it on the overheads. This is the overheads without it. And this is with this kind of preamp sound. Let me go to the chorus. Also enhances the areas underneath 50 hertz, I think. Just gives it a lot of foundation. And then what I do is I try to enhance the choruses. So when I go into the chorus, there's a little bit more delay on the vocals going on. So here's the automation for this. And here's the delay. You hear it? A little bit, yeah. And if you go into the verse, there is no delay. Then there's some panning going on. So I pan the guitars right, left and right for the chorus to make it a little bit more bigger. Here you see it. And also what you see is that I automated the piano. I've got a stereo widener on the piano, but I just want to hear this in the chorus. So in the chorus it's on, and in the verse it's off, as you see here. The next important thing for me was having the snare a little bit louder in the choruses and have a little bit more presence, because that's where all the instruments set in. So I just copied the snare track and just used the sections which are choruses. And on this double track I have the Jump Exchanger by Brainworks, who gives me kind of rim shot sound enhancement. Yeah, you hear that rim? Together with the normal snare, it has more strength. So this works pretty good. And then there is a fantastic section where the choir comes in. Let's listen to this. I really love this voices. Great multi-tracks. So the choir goes into another tape machine, the J37 by Waves, and I like that preset mastering high frequencies, something round bottom. That's how they call it, mastering high. And I really like that sound. And just don't forget to turn off the noise level. This annoying waves thing. Another preamp by IK Multimedia is the emulation of a Neve preamp, taking out 350 Hz a little bit, enhancing 110 kHz, and give it a little bit more brightness here. Going into de-esser, because when you make it brighter you have to be very careful with de-essers, and also on the choirs a lot of reverb. It's just a little bit of de-essing going on. Going into a stay level compressor by Kush, the RR1. And with this one you have the choice to dial in a little bit brighter tone or a darker tone. That would be dark. That would be lifted. For this one I choose a little bit of a lift. It's a beautiful compressor. I really love it. And again, I go into the S1 and brighten the stereo image a little bit. Here on the piano, I use the VST plugin called Freiraum. If there's a little bit too much room sound on the track, you can use this to dial out the room sound, which is fantastic. Most of the time when I get multitracks and the piano, I want to have it a little bit more intimate and a little bit more in my face, even if I put the reverb and the room reverb after this. So this is without Freiraum. And this is with it. It's less room. And with this I go into the Kush Omega preamp, which I really like. And just a little bit of chorus, it's just 6% here. And this is a free plugin you can use. Just makes it a little bit more smooth. This is without the chorus. It's a little bit harsher to me that way, but with it, it's a little bit more rounded and softer. But the mix is just 6%, so it's just a tad. And the vocal, I always use a Marc EQ on the vocal because I like the airlift from the Marc EQ. There's another EQ called Lufticus, which is for free and does the same. You don't need the Marc EQ. But here I dialed in the air band, which gives the vocal great presence. That's here. Without it, already sounds very good. And there's a little bit more of that shine. Also, I dial in 150 to make the voice a little bit more warm. That's the effect. To hear the preacher man say it's okay to take these things slow. A little bit more. No matter where you go, also, I use the Kush preamp here. And I'm going into vocal distortion. The vocal distortion, let me show you this. This is a really cool trick too. This is this channel here. This is how it sounds if you overdo it. He said, how much do I give and what do if you just tuck it in a little bit, it sounds like the harmonic distortion of a tube microphone and preamp. And what happens if you go into a console with the harmonic distortion. So this goes into an H delay, which is in ping pong, and this it's a very short slap delay. So the ping pong sends it to the left and the right and leaves the middle, the normal vocals, alone, which are in the center. So I tuck that in. Okay, so this is a very nice trick to give it some kind of analog feel. The guitar reverb is a little plate, and the trick for me with the reverbs is to EQ before going into the reverb. So I don't want to have the reverb too bright and I don't want to have it too boomy. It sounds good, but it would be too boomy in the mix, so I can EQ with that pre-reverb EQ. If I want to have it a little bit warmer, I can dial that in. If I want to have it a little bit more brighter, I can use this. And the reverb sound is really, really important. Same goes for the vocal reverb, by the way. EQ the reverb and see what it does to the song, you know. Yeah, it's a bright reverb. For me, it sounds good. It works with the song. Take the load up off my shoulder. I don't want to carry that no more. Lay it down. And I mean, in the old recordings, you don't have this this heavy kick, you know. But in now in modern times, if you mix a song, people want to hear the kick. It's a sign of quality if you can have a nice low end, and this is bass and kick, and it kicks underneath the bass. So what I do with the kick is I send it to a bus, go into another preamp, and from that preamp I go into the 1176 emulation here from IK Multimedia, and this really, you can really have a very heavy kick with this. And it goes into another preamp. So if I dial that in here, so we have a super mighty kick. This would be a little bit too much, so let's dial it back. So these are a few tricks I use for the analog feel. I hope you like it, and let's listen to the song from the beginning and see you next time.
The two of them left before the dawn on a Sunday morning to try to make it in time to see the sun rise over the lake. He said, how much do I give and what do I take? As he took him by the hand, some things we'll never understand. The two of them sat at the chapel on a Sunday morning to hear the preacher man say it's okay to take these things slow. No matter where you go, I want you to know this sin don't belong to you now. There ain't nothing that you need to do. So won't you come down to the lakeside? Won't you come down by the shady shore? Take the load up off your shoulder. You don't need to carry that no more. Lay it down by the lakeside, lay it down by the shady shore. 'Cause we're traveling light. Yeah, we're traveling light. Two of them stood holding hands at the edge of the water, with a wondering smile saying, baby, it's about damn time. He took her in his arms, she looked into his eyes. Can you leave it all behind now? Oh yes, I've made up my mind.